We're back, and it's crazy because my mic was off, so I got to start it over. But that don't matter because we here. March Madness is upon us. Everybody's talking about college basketball, and rightfully so, because college basketball is about to be talked about for the next 3 weeks on the women's side and the men's side. Can Paige Beckers and UConn go and win their first national championship? Can Paige submit her legacy with all the UConn greats, Deanna Taurasi, Breanna Stewart, Nethesta Kyler, Sue Bird, as helping Maya Moore is helping capture a championship for UConn? Is JuJu Watkins going to go out and do something legendary for USC? But it's some great basketball that's upon us, and it's March Madness. And I hate to talk about Angel Reese, and I hate to talk about Caitlin Clark, but we're always talking about those two, especially when we talk about Caitlin Clark. And Bomani Jones came out and said that their ratings have increased this year without the necessary push or the same push that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark had on the women's game. But for Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, their impact on college basketball and the momentum that they had from 2023 on forward is largely helping contribute to some of that success. And I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to talk about how the healthy rivalry, and I say healthy rivalry, that's the only reason I'm talking about this, because so many people like to talk about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and the rivalry, even though it's really not a rivalry at all if you're just talking about for a basketball standpoint. But from a marketability, from a, I want to say, overall push and cultural impact and visibility, storylines will forever matter in sports. And unfortunately, if it was up to me, being an analyst, talking about the game of basketball, it would strictly stay to the on-court product. But unfortunately, that's not what it's about. So I'm going to play what Bomani and react to what Bomani Jones stated, because it's a lot of truth to what he is saying. Every good story, whether it's a thriller, whether it's a horror film, whether it's an animation, whether it's a comedy, whether it's a superhero movie, every great story has a protagonist and an antagonist, a hero and a villain. And also, that's just like in sports. So let's get to it.
Kind of like the buzz around women's college basketball did not sustain in the way that I thought it would coming off of last season. I watched that Big Ten final in Indianapolis between UCLA and USC. UCLA put the clamps on USC, but it was just like, I was wondering, like, did we keep this going? I posed the question to Perplexity, and I got to say, they gave a pretty thorough synopsis here. They have an overall viewership increase that's up 3% from last year.
So there you go. I think when it comes to it, watching the women's game without Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, some people would say that the momentum died down. I would say the momentum did not die down, because everything that they accomplished and achieved in the college game of basketball has helped other stars emerge into the limelight. Unfortunately, when it comes to the women's basketball, it's not being pushed the same, because those big stars like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark had something that Paige Beckers, Audi Crooks, Olivia Miles, Flau'jae Johnson, JuJu Watkins don't necessarily have. And that's what Bomani's about to talk about, which is AKA a rivalry.
Here, ESPN, the numbers were down until February. Then they had a nice run of games that took things over the top. This is without Caitlin Clark. So without the phenomenon, they got a slight uptick in the ratings. And the reason I bring that up is people are still watching, but the push isn't the same without Caitlin Clark. I think the lesson you can learn here is if the people are still watching, you can't make somebody another Caitlin Clark, but you kind of can. Like, Caitlin Clark doesn't happen entirely organically. There's a push.
And there we go. And that's what we're going to talk about. Real hoop heads like myself were watching Caitlin Clark her freshman year. I knew about Caitlin Clark when she was entering Iowa. I knew about Paige Beckers when she was coming into UConn. Paige Beckers had the marketing machine, had the media push, had the endorsements, had everybody talking about her because of when you go to UConn and you're the best player in the nation and you're coming out of high school, you're going to be talked about more so than any other women's basketball player just because of that machine and that product that UConn generates and the buzz that they generates and all the historic content center around everything that they've done historically. It's like when a player goes to Los Angeles and plays with the Lakers, or a player goes to the New York Knicks or the Yankees. Like, it's just different level of buzz and marketability and a different overall sports media machine that pushes players into the limelight in comparison to what Caitlin Clark did, which what makes Caitlin Clark and what she accomplished with Iowa so legendary. And I just had my last stream, y'all should go check that out, when there's conversations about how she's not a top 5 women's college basketball player of all time, but she didn't have a machine. She didn't have people pushing her. She had to fight for everything that she got on the basketball court. It wasn't like she was talented. She was a top 3 basketball player entering the college game from high school, part of the USA team, but nobody was talking about her the same way they were talking about Paige Beckers. Sure, did she benefit from Paige Beckers getting hurt? Yes. But at the same time, when we talk about Caitlin Clark, she's really self-made, homegrown, stayed and played at a mid-major program. And then you start hearing about her impact. You start hearing about her play style because it was the first ever play style generator in the women's basketball landscape, period, whether it's college or the WNBA. You start seeing all the phenomenal things that she was doing. And you start seeing the magic in her handles and the shot-making ability and her being a 4-level electric scorer, something that the game of basketball never seen on the women's side. So it was all that building, and it built up to that 2023 March Madness tournament. Let's let Bomani finish.
Push. I don't feel like the Paige Beckers or JuJu push was anything close to the same. What Angel Reese did, she created what people truly need, which is a rivalry. Having the players is one thing. She made a rivalry where there wasn't one. Somebody gonna need to go do this. Somebody got to knock JuJu out the sky. JuJu got to hit somebody in the eye with an elbow. It ain't necessarily got to be a white girl, but it got to be somebody. Gonna be honest with you. If it was a white girl, it would help. Just for the numbers here. I'm being cynical about the situation. Not saying you should elbow the white girl. Maybe let the white girl elbow you. I don't know. But people are watching. I am a little surprised there's not more of a push.
Yeah. Joseph says the Pope did a segment. He was at LSU asking students, Angel or Caitlin, to start the team. Caitlin, of course, but it was close. Haha. Yes, of course. We knew about Caitlin Clark and we knew about Angel Reese because Angel Reese's persona, her personality, her swagger on the basketball court is something that you knew about if you were watching and love and a purist of the game of basketball. And you knew about Caitlin Clark because she was an electric basketball player. But the 2023 season where Caitlin Clark was having an historical year when she was doing all these things, breaking all these records, bringing all this attention to the game, it was a push. And that push was Angel Reese. Angel Reese, when she came out and said and stated, and just like Bomani Jones is talking about, where there's not the same push for Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese in comparison to the women's college basketball game with JuJu and Paige Beckers, because of the fact of the matter is Angel Reese gave a lot of momentum to Caitlin Clark with the national championship 2023 competitive taunting on the court production. She gave that push. She gave that. And that benefited not just Caitlin Clark, it benefited Angel Reese, it benefited basketball in general entirely because it was a culture impact, increased visibility, ratings boomed. Angel Reese's influence in the game, she's become one of the biggest personalities in women's basketball. We talk about merchandise sales. We talk about Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese was number 2 in merchandise sales as a rookie. Caitlin Clark was number 1. Bringing attention to her physicality, her defense, rebounding, her game-changing skills as a rookie. Caitlin Clark bringing attention to her assists, playmaking ability, also scoring ability, and the fast pace and the way that she plays the game. I mean, Clark was already a generational type of talent. But the rivalry, even if you don't feel like it's an on-court rivalry, Angel Reese inserting herself into Caitlin Clark for that national title game brought a lot of attention from outside fans, people that never cared about the game of basketball on the women's side, people that never even knew about Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. For the first time in history, it was everybody was locked in and had eyes and was talking about the sport of women's basketball. The rivalry created so many new fans, good, bad, or indifferent. And essentially, I'm going to be honest, what Kanye West did for Taylor Swift is the same thing what Angel Reese did for Caitlin Clark. And I know that may sound crazy. I'm going to say it again. At the first glance, when you're hearing this, you may say like, yo, this is wild. But it's truth to it. What Kanye did for Taylor Swift is the same thing. Excuse me. What Kanye did for Taylor Swift is the same thing that Angel Reese did for Caitlin Clark. In 2009, the VMAs, when Kanye West interrupted Taylor Swift and then the Kanye shrug and said Beyonce deserved that, when Kanye West interrupted Taylor Swift, it made her even into a bigger star. Few in the media, her career skyrocketed. The media was in a frenzy. Everybody was talking about it on social media. It was the biggest thing in the world, and people outside of the music industry had an opinion on it. Angel Reese taunt towards Caitlin Clark in the 2023 NCAA championship game initiated a cultural moment that helped push women's basketball into the mainstream. There would still be a Caitlin Clark. There would still be an Angel Reese without that moment, but that moment, catastrophic, was massive. It blew up everything on the women's side. That moment helped push college basketball on the women's side and women's basketball as a whole to the mainstream because the viral moment created so much mass attention. Just like the Taylor Swift and the Kanye West moment. It was an instant viral sensation. You had Fox, CNN, you had politicians, CFOs, you had NBA players, NFL players, you had everybody. Everybody had an opinion on the Angel Reese and the Caitlin Clark, whether it was a great opinion, a bad opinion, an indifferent opinion, whether it was spewed from hate, positivity, whatever you want to say. It was a cultural impactful moment that helped the game grow. The villain narrative was created. Kanye became a villain for Taylor Swift due in her rise. Reese was unfairly criticized and kind of seen as the antagonist in Clark's historic season. And that media narrative elevated both players. Clark, sharp shooting star, Reese, a fierce competitor. The rivalry became bigger than the moment. Taylor Swift's controversy, Kanye West and Taylor Swift's controversy fueled her career and made her into a bigger, iconic figure. Clark and Reese turned the ongoing rivalry that still drives engagement to this day into helping elevate the game, which is why I say it's a healthy rivalry on the women's side, because unlike Kanye West and Taylor Swift, there's no real life. They had real life tension after that. Clark and Reese, they have a competitive yet respectful rivalry that isn't about drama, but is more so about elevating the game. And even better, it's inspiring a new wave of hoopers across women's college basketball and across women basketball in general, and is bringing it high and is highlighting more awareness to the game itself for the players that were already involved in the WNBA and even when Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese came over, and also highlighting this new wave of players that are coming into the WNBA. So what this moment did was sensational, and Bomani Jones is exactly right. There's no necessary push similar to Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark right now, even though the ratings are increasing because there's no necessary rivalry or that push that happened the same way it happened with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. But even though they are not a part of the college basketball world anymore, their impact, their legacy, everything that happened will forever be talked about, especially when it comes to March Madness time. And also we talked about with the ratings increasing, even though they're not playing, but that's largely due to now, if you ask the average person, they're going to know more college basketball women on the women's side than they're going to know on the men's side right now. They'll know about Cooper Flag. That's it. But people know about Flau'jae. People know about Hidalgo, Olivia Miles, JuJu Watkins, Paige Beckers, Audi Crooks. Like, they know more about the stars in the women's game than the men's game on the college side. And that's largely due to the impact that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese left behind. So it's your boy, Mikaylah Smith. Make sure you go like, comment, and subscribe. Also follow me on AKIS NBA and all the social media platforms, talking to WNBA, talking about the NBA all the time. Always remember, faith without works is dead. Shout out to all my truth tellers, Joseph, in the chat, being active. Faith without works is dead. And always remember, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not into your own understanding, and always acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. I'm gone, man. Peace.